Newcastle's summer exodus is set to reach a crisis point. Sean, you'll have heard this news. Sandro Tonali, Anthony Gordon, of course, already out the door. Club captain and fan favourite Bruno Guimarães has reportedly informed the hierarchy that he wants to join champions Arsenal, with another star player forcing his way out. Darren Bent raised serious concerns about what this loss could mean for Eddie Howe next season.
Yeah, I do feel for Eddie Howe. I really do, because again, if Bruno leaves tonight, he's obviously gone to Tottenham as well. Isaac, they just haven't been able to kind of recruit the players in certainly the quality that they've lost. And you look at what they've bought some of these players for. Isaac, was it 60 million? They're selling for 120. Like tonight, they bought him for a fee. They're selling for more. So clearly, he's improving these players. But at some point, I think if Newcastle do want to go to the next level, they've got. I know it's hard with the PSR and the financial fair play, but if they do want to go to the next level and then stay there, they've got to find a way of holding on to some of these players.
Oh, look at Darren and his floral number. Watching on the smart TV, I like that. Sure. Do you have sympathy for Eddie Howe in this situation? The latest is that Bruno has agreed personal terms with Arsenal, but Newcastle's stance is that he remains not for sale.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's really tough, and the challenge that you have is not just if one of your big players goes at any football club, at any level really. People understand there's a time and a place. When two go, that can make other players a bit itchy and a bit nervy. Then if three go, all of a sudden they go, hang on a minute, who are we bringing in? And I think they're right on that cusp. I don't know their situation at PSR, but I've been through that, obviously, in my time at Everton, so I know how dangerous that can be. But I think losing the players of that quality, I think that's really tough on Eddie, and I think he's done a great job there. So hopefully, I mean, look, you never know on the other side of that. Good people in their recruitment there. They've shown that over the years, so they might have people lined up, don't forget. So these things can twist very quickly when you get a freshness in the camp and a newness and some quality, and all of a sudden it can feel different. But there's three big players without a shot. Well, if Guimarães goes, there are three big players without a doubt.
I feel for the fan base in this one because of what happened with the Isak saga last summer. It was a mess.
Yeah, I mean,
and Bruno was their man. He was like their hero in it all, wasn't he?
All parties, I mean, I don't know the inside story, but all parties have a part to play. So I remember talking about that on the shows, and what was Isak's part in that? Do you know what I mean? What was the club's part? Who told who what? You know what I mean? These are the things you're never quite sure about. So, but I think they've had a tougher season this season than they had previously. But I still think Eddie's done a remarkable job there because people forget where they were and where they've got to. And I know they've got money and they've put money in and all that, but you still got to spend it wisely. Your recruitment side has still got to do a good job, and they have done. If they lose Guimarães as well, I think it's a real big knock to take for the club, for the fans, but also for Eddie as well.
Yeah, I was listening to White and Jordan yesterday, the fans getting in touch, who are feeling it and who are raging as well at Tonali, on his way out after the club stood by him in his situation.
Yeah, no, that's football life. It's such a cutthroat business. That's just the way it is. You've been through it, as a manager, I've been through it with players and I've had to turn players' moves down, which is awkward and it's difficult. This is, the rules of the jungle, if you like. Tonali, they were saying about how he was impressed with the manager. I bet he was impressed with his pay packet as well. But there's no point. We can all bluff and blag it, but at the end of the day, players still want rewarding, and when they get rewarding to, I don't know, let's call it double. Double's double. No matter what you do in life, no matter how much you earn, double is double. So if someone's doubling your pay packet, you're probably going to want to go and have talks with them and probably going to want to move. So I think that's just the way that football works, you know what I mean? So I don't think there's no crying in football. Just got to get on with it.
And it'll be a test in a few weeks for Newcastle fans. They're going to be developing a tough skin when it comes to the transfer business. Another one of their star players wanting the exit door.
Anthony Gordon has gone. Tino Livramento would like to leave, as I understand it. I think a lot of this with Bruno Guimarães is trying to get himself a big money new contract, but it's not an ideal situation.
I feel for Eddie Howe up there. He's losing the midfield that was possibly, you would argue, the three best midfield players as a trio in the Premier League.
You would love to sell this to me.
I like Eddie, love Eddie as a manager, I've got to say, but they're losing players now.
Swapping Newcastle for London? Are you crazy?
Ask yourself the question, despite the vilification of a player that 2 years ago said he wanted to stay. Nothing lasts forever. He's done his 2 years. He is entitled to leave. How he leaves is the key component part of this. But also, why? Why are Newcastle now a place where people want to leave from? And that's the problem Eddie Howe's got.
Indeed, Bruno Guimarães became the latest Newcastle star wanting to leave the club, following in the footsteps of Anthony Gordon and Sandro Tonali. talkSPORT understands that the Brazilian has agreed terms with the Gunners, who are reportedly to pay up to 60 million for the midfielder. If you're Eddie Howe right now, how much of a nightmare is this?
It's certainly not enjoyable for him. I'm sure of that. I think having done so much work, to build a group of players who are certainly competitive without a shadow of a doubt, and the fan base has got along with that. Great fans sticking behind it and building it with them, and the finance, to be fair. But when you see these players, it starts coming apart. That's when it gets really difficult. And the way that modern players are, the power now that they've got is, I get the idea the club can say no, but if you're going to say no in the old days, 15, 20 years ago, it'd be, look, you're under contract, no, there'll come your time and all that. Now it's almost like, okay, it's a no, but now you have to give them an increased contract. By the way, I'm not saying these players are using it for that, but that's the way it works now. If a player does get genuine interest and the club put in an offer, you then have to go to them pretty quick and say, right, we want you to sign a new contract. And if you don't, you got trouble then, because you got a player coming in every day who doesn't really want to be there. And I'm generalising it. I'm not using this individual player. I'm just saying that's the way the market's changed. The power of the player, the power of the agents has changed significantly, even over the last probably 5 years. It's a different ballgame now. So
what power does the manager have? I mean, if you've been here in this position and you've got the likes of Gordon, Guimarães, Tonali, all leaving, Isak last summer.
Well, the thing that I always go to, and it was with the Isak thing, I was saying you don't know what's said, right? Because what often happens in these situations is contractually, we all know what that means because it's all written down. But there's a lot of word of mouth stuff. It's like, look, you do well by us, and if someone comes in the future and we deem it a bigger situation, or let's say a bigger club, because Newcastle's a big club, but at the time they signed, maybe it was just growing a little bit, and they say, look, if someone's superpower comes in, blah, blah, blah. So you don't know what's said as like the old-fashioned gentleman's agreement. You don't know what's said. So if there's a said agreement where as if like, look, we know why you're here, come and enjoy it, you've done great for us, and when that day comes, we'll honour you to go somewhere else. You don't know whether any of that's been said.
Do you reckon that has happened?
I don't know, but I thought the Isak one was an interesting one because he seemed to make it seemed such a big deal for him to say, no, I'm not coming back to train and everything. I just wondered if there was some kind of word of mouth thing, whether it's the manager, whether it's the technical director, whether it's the ownership and all that sort of stuff. The ownership's in a lot of cases getting more involved in the dealings as well. And then you might have a technical director who's involved in the dealings, and you have the manager involved in the dealings, and it can suddenly who said what. I'm just generalising here, not about Newcastle United, but this is how it can change really quickly. And then the agent gets involved and said, well, you said, he said, she said, and all that sort of stuff. So it can get a bit messy sometimes, or it can very often be simple. It seems to me with Gordon's situation, here's the fee, off he goes. That one's a lot easier.
This must be such a pain in the backside, though, because you're quick enough to sign that deal. Your agent's presented you this magic deal with Newcastle, and you've agreed to it, and then you want out of it to go and get something better, kind of thing. And he's earned that. Bruno's won them a trophy. And
yeah, but Shebahn, you don't know. It's like I say to fans now when I meet them, they go, "Oh, why are they leaving? Why are they?" I said, "Well, what do you do?" And they go, "I don't know. I'm a plumber." And I go, "So if the bloke down the roads or the lady down the roads offer you double."
I know.
You know what I mean? It's the way. Whether
he's earned that move. He has earned that move, but you signed the contract.
Yeah, no, that's equally fair. I'm playing devil's advocate because there is no. I don't think there's a perfect right and wrong. The only way this ever works out is if it's written. If it's written in your contract, it says, I don't know, to make it simple. If any club come in the Premier League or in Europe that offers 100 million, we'll honour the fact you go, because that's fair because you've made them money. Well, let's say. You've done your bit because you must have done your bit, because how could you not have if you're worth a double, let's say. Say you bought something 50 million, something for 100, right? How could you have not played well for that football club to be worth double?
Yeah.
That's when it gets very simple.
Yeah.
But I don't always think it's that simple. It's, a lot of word of mouth involved, or often there's a lot of word of mouth involved.
I do feel for Eddie Howe. I think he's brilliant. And then last summer for that drama with Isak, and now all of this, you think, give the guy a break because he's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of managers go through a lot of this now, and it's managing off the pitch is as tough as managing on it.
And now you're sitting here eating smash in the morning.
Well, I'm quite enjoying
talking
it.
about your curries.
People keep saying, why are you not back in there on the hamster wheel?
Eddie, give us a shout whenever you're ready.
Yeah.